Today we're going to be looking at this. This is the Hotone Ampero Mini, and what I'm going to do is see just how useful it is on your pedal board. So quite a lot of the time I'll use a modeler on stage, but I just can't live without having an amp experience, and sometimes I'll use a 5-watt amp, I'll use a 22-watt amp, I'll use a 100-watt amp. I love having that amp sound, and sometimes I'll build a board just full of analog effects. What if I was to compare the sounds with real analog pedals? So here I've got a Tubescreamer, and there's a Tubescreamer on this. Would I be able to replace my analog gear with this digital effect and just use it as a stomp box? Let's find out. So to test it, I've basically stuck the Hotone Ampero into my signal chain, and I've also got my original effect as well. I'm going to try a few of these. So today we're going to have a look at the Big Muff, we're going to look at the Tubescreamer, we're going to look at an analog version of the Zen Drive. This is a musky clone of the Zen Drive, but it's pretty cool. And I'm also going to look at a magnetic tape. This is a clone of the Keeley magnetic tape Echo. I've got them plugged in. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to get my trusty P90 Les Paul. This is kind of like middle ground of a lot of guitars. This is my favourite kind of sound. It's just a really thick sounding guitar. Just on the neck pickup, this is my clean sound. Add a little bit of verb. So what I'm going to do now is try the Tubescreamer, and everything is just at 12 o'clock. So just going from my just turn the level up a bit for some unity gain. So there we go, that's a classic Tubescreamer sound. It's just got a nice soft clip in, you know, some harmonics in there. It does box it down a little bit, it does sound a bit compressed, and that's just at mid sort of gain, but there's the sound. Right, we're going to do the same now with the Hotone. So on the Hotone I'm using green drive. Compared to all my other guitars, that's very mid-focused. So I'll try that with a Tubescreamer. So I think there's just a little bit more gain in that one, just a little bit more volume. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to try and match the volumes. That was the Ampero. That's the Hotone. So from there it sounds like a Tubescreamer does have a little bit more top end, believe it or not, from what I can hear. The Hotone does kind of sound like it's squashing it a little bit more. It's still got that same sort of mid-hump EQ, which is great. It's quite addictive on the Tubescreamer, but it's pretty good. It's pretty close. Let's have a look then at another pedal. So this is the little Big Muff, and you know, essentially it's a Big Muff pie. So let's try the Big Muff pie. So that's just my clean sound. So that's the real one. The settings on there, I've got the volume in the middle, tone in the middle, sustain in the middle. So I've not done anything crazy with it. I've got the same on here. That sounds cool. That sounds very cool. Sounds pretty close. I'm going to try that again on here. I think there's something missing. On the original one, it doesn't have this really high-end chirpy thing. So if I listen to that one more time, and the tonality, it's more in the EQ. That's the Hotone. It's just something a little bit more abrasive. That said, they're both great sounds. I think the Hotone one is pretty good. It's pretty good. I would be happy with either. There's something about when you wind the analog one up. Now it's doing that nasty thing that the other one was doing. If I wind the sustain up, then I'm just going to wind the volume. I'm finding with the Hotone the volumes it's very cool, but it does sound to me like digital things. And I don't know why. I think it's the top end, the chirpy top end, kind of goes, which is a weird sound to make, but it kind of adds that quite abrasive sound into it, which is actually okay when you're playing with a band. I mean, in my experience, I love big muff sounds. I love a big muff. But they do get lost when you start playing with a band, because they kind of do that with the frequency spectrum. The sort of middle of the frequencies disappear. Right, so Zen Drives. The Zen Drive in the Hotone is actually one of my favourite sounding overdrives, and it's in the Hotone. I actually I'm brave enough to say this, that the Hotone Zen Drive is just one of the great overdrive sounds. I really enjoy it. So I'm going to show you the Taijai drive. In fact, the Taijai drive has 4 algorithms, so I'm going to select the one that sounds the most like the Hotone one. See if I can get there. So let me choose that one. So on the Hotone, it's called the Zen Garden. Just going to match the settings here. Sounds alright, sounds cool. So that's the Zen Garden. I think I'm on the wrong algorithm. Right, let's go back to the Hotone one. I actually prefer the Hotone one there. It's just got a bit more presence and a bit more of a pop to it. It's sort of there's all the wonderful things that the tie dry drive does, but it kind of does it a bit better in my opinion. So I don't know why it's so magical. The Line 6 one is really good as well, that they put in the Helix systems. Both of them are just really sort of inspiring pedals and overdrives. I've tried some other good ones as well. I would recommend the Dude. It's called the Dude. Okay, so lastly, I'm just going to have a look at the magnetic delay. So, magnetic delay. So that's the magnetic delay on just with the slapback. Let me do it with a Hotone. Alright, so it's quite similar. Bit fast for a slapback. This is 20 millisecond. Right, these are the differences. So on the magnetic delay, you can choose your modulations and regen kind of sounds. So I'll just demonstrate that to you. The one thing that they've got in common is this. So if I turn one of the, say if I turn the speed knob after playing a note, watch this. So that's the time knob on here. So as I mess with those knobs, the delay goes, the timing changes, but so do the pitches. And what's cool with it is you've got like built into that, you can get like a tremolo effect. Now if I mess with these parameters while I'm playing, let's see what happens. So you can get those like analog-esque interactions, which is great. But it's hard to kind of tell, because what it's doing is making the repeats. The repeats do tend to sound very similar. But I think for me, and this might be the same for some other people, it'd be good to know in the comments, when you're dealing with delays, you kind of you're either a baker or a chef. You either want exact timings to replicate an exact sound, or for consistency. So you might always want a 2000 millisecond delay, or a 500 millisecond, or a 20 millisecond. So you want to lock that down. You'd want a percentage of feedback. The Hotone will give you that, and then you can save it, and then that's it. The analog magnetic delay, that's a different kind of thing. It's like, you'll twist the knob until it sounds right. That's how I grew up with delays. So that to me makes more sense to operate the delay like that. It brings me to our summary. So after playing around with this, I'm really impressed actually with the way it recreates the sounds. Yes, it's not the same as an analog pedal, but an analog pedal is not the same as a digital modeler. I've got my 150 or whatever, a number of effects that this comes with, which is quite a lot, quite generous, and the effects are in different camps. So you've got your really important effects pedals that you can just stick on there, and it almost works a little bit like how some people use a HX Stomp or a HX Effects, and you could cycle through the banks, or you could use one of the extra expression pedals, or you could use a foot switch. So I normally use this with a foot switch live, so I'll have an extra one, and that will give me the option to put 2 effects on at once if I need to, or at different times. And that's why this is quite a good fly rig, because you can kind of program it really easily. You don't need to download software just to get going with it, and you can make some really great presets. These things are, for me, they still have a place. I still use them. I use everything though. I'm the kind of guy that has all the pedals and likes having all the pedals. If I had to like choose out of the two, well, obviously this would suit me more as a working musician, because I can use it. It's got a loop station. It's got so many things that, you know, individually would cost you an absolute fortune. Is the quality the same? Well, no, because this is an analog thing, so it's never going to produce exactly the same sound. But the sound in this is really good. It's passable. No one in the audience is going to know whether you've used a real fuzz face or this. And if you don't like the sound that this was making compared to this, I just had it on one setting. I could have altered the EQ a little bit to get it exactly the same, but it would be you know, one of those things where I'd keep testing it and testing it. You probably wouldn't hear it on YouTube as well. So it's one of them things that I've kind of left out of the video, because I just wanted to show you that these kind of things, it works great as like a multi-pedal solution as well. So this video is brought to you by people who subscribe, and if you like the content, tell your friends. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.